principles of stratification and randomization that are used to find out about fish catches also apply to sampling people's opinions. Here, booby traps are everywhere, and you need to be aware of them. For example, in 1936, the magazine Literary Digest predicted that Alf Landon would beat Franklin Roosevelt in that year's election. The magazine based its prediction on 2,376,000 questionnaires, a huge sample size. The magazine drew the survey subjects from lists of automobile and telephone owners. At the same time, a young man named George Gallup used a sample of 50,000 people and predicted that Roosevelt would win with 56% of the vote. Gallup's prediction was ridiculed as naive until the election. Roosevelt won with 62% of the vote, and Gallup's career took off like a rocket. The problem with the Literary Digest sample was the list was weighted in favor of those with enough money to buy cars and phones, a much smaller portion of the population in the 30s than it is today. The poll missed the large pro-Roosevelt sentiment among lower-income voters. This sampling design systematically missed a portion of the population, so it's an example of bias. Sometimes it's not the sample, but the way a poll is administered that's the problem. Let's look at some mistakes that are easy to make and that should be avoided at all costs.
Can I ask you a quick question? We're doing a survey on the arms race.
The wording of a question can easily influence people's answers. Listen to how the same question can be asked in radically different ways.
The Soviet Union now has a slight edge in nuclear weapons over the United States. Do you support or oppose a freeze on nuclear weapons?
I don't trust the Russians.
So you would oppose a freeze?
Correct.
Thank you very much. The nuclear arsenals of the United States and the Soviet Union contain about 50,000 warheads. Do you support or oppose a freeze on nuclear weapons?
Support.
Thank you. We're doing a survey on marriage. We don't believe it. You don't believe it?
Responses may also be suspect if people think others are listening.
If you had to do it over again, would you marry your spouse?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. You would. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And of course, people may voice opinions on subjects about which they know nothing.
We're doing an opinion survey on politics. Do you support or oppose the U.S. aid to the rebels in Eastern Alpha Centauri?
Oppose.
If you've never heard of the Alpha Centauri rebels, don't worry, they don't exist.
Quick question.
Finally, the appearance of the interviewer may influence the response.
Personal preferences and appearance. Do you think you can trust men with mustaches?
Yes.
The moral here is clear. Sampling has to be done carefully, especially when humans are involved. Let's look now at one of the top survey research institutions in the country. We'll see how they conduct their surveys and what they've learned about American attitudes